Cool. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is me. Hi. And we're going to give this a go, a little bit better go, as I learn how to be a little bit more tech savvy as a 73-year-old. But a lot of you have seen some different things, and I've been posting a lot and attempting to post a lot. Now I will be able to do a lot better job because I just had one of my cataracts taken care of. So I'm really excited about that. And if anybody wants to join in this live, great, let me know. And I will look to add you into the studio. So one of the things we're going to talk about today, and I'll be on for a little bit, is I want to let you know about some huge changes that have occurred during my life and some lessons I've learned and things I want to help others with. And I really want to help you get a little bit better grip on your metabolic health, our body. Now, I know metabolic is a big word, and everybody didn't take biology back in the day. So I'm not going to start talking about all kinds of different hormones or different other types of things that we'll talk about on another day. But basically, one of the things I wanted to have the opportunity to do is share a little bit of my story. Now, as most of you know, Dad came from the Philippines in 1947, met my mom out of Peoria, and we were raised in South Dakota. And the first town we lived in was Iroquois. Now, it's an itty-bitty town out there in the prairie. For those of you that aren't aware, Little House on the Prairie, Laura Ingalls Wilder lived in DeSmet, Howard, that area. That's about 15 miles from where we originally lived in South Dakota, in Iroquois. And Dad and Mom, we had the clinic in our house, if you could imagine that. Dad did house calls. So I understood medical a little bit from a very early age because I'd go on house calls. My job was to be entertainment in the front yard or in the living room or out in the barnyard, whatever. Well, Dad was working, doing medicine, being a doctor in the bedroom. Well, later on, we moved to Freeman, South Dakota, great town. German Mennonite Hutterite town, don't you know, home of Chislik. At least that's the arguable thing that we say is the home of Chislik. And for those of you who don't know, it's really the best type of meat in the world. It's a special, special thing. But anyway, learned a lot, gained a lot, and was blessed to be part of that community, blessed to be the oldest of the 10 of us kids, blessed to have all the opportunities that Mom and Dad were able to provide for us. And so grow forward, go fast. And back in the day when we were kids, and I'm talking about over a 70-year-old lifespan, we didn't have such a thing as grass-fed beef or organic anything. Our eggs were just eggs, weren't they? I mean, we just went out and picked them. If we were out on someone's farm, or they were into the coop or whatever, and beef was beef, and vegetables were vegetables, and everything was organic. Everything was just fine the way it was. All the fruits and all the plants, everything coming out of the ground was as God created it, was wrapped in fiber. Remember that, fiber. God's pretty smart. And so all things grown out of the ground are wrapped in fiber, which should tell us that we should eat our fiber first. Yeah, pretty logical. That's how it was organized. Fiber first. And then we'd have our fats. I mean, good gravy. We had beef and chicken. And of course, out in the Dakotas, I was raised, we hunted and fished. Pheasants, ducks, geese, deer, right? Rabbit, all kinds of fish, turtles. So we learned that fat was good. Fat was good. We had our oils with what? Well, it was lard and butter. Good fat, natural fat. Well, something happened along the way, along our journey. And the biggest thing that happened was how our food has been manipulated, has been engineered, has been processed for profit, not necessarily nutritional value. Think about it. Well, let's think about it. What happened? Well, the first thing that was re engineered from nature was the whole idea of taking fiber out of the food. Now you say, no, George, they didn't. Yeah. Think about it. Why did they take fiber out of the food? Do you have any idea? The real reason is to increase shelf life. Shelf life. So if something can be on the shelf longer, the chances that before getting spoiled, it's a better chance of it getting sold. Correct? Sure. Where did that come into play? Well, in the military fight, in the military theater, foods needed to last, and fiber deteriorates. So taking the fiber out, think of cereal, think of grains, think of wheats, think of anything. Think of an apple. How do most people now, especially your children, grandchildren, for me, great-grandchildren, how do they get most of their fruit? How do you get most of your fruit? By munching on it or by sipping it and drinking it down? Absolutely. Liquid. So is the fiber there? No. The fiber's been taken out, and what you have left is what? Sugar, water. Sugar water. Look at the shelves in the grocery store. How many of those bottles just in juice are fiber rich? None. You're getting what? You're getting the profitized, processed juice, liquid. You're drinking your calories. Are you getting fiber there? No. Think about that. So the fiber was taken out of the food. Now, the next thing so we had the defiberization of our food sources. Will you agree with me on that? Sure. Now, the next thing that happened was what? Oils. Oils. What do you mean oils, Villia? What are you talking about? Well, back in the day, let's go back further. There were two guys that came out of England, Scotland, Ireland, out of that way. They were independent of each other. One was named Proctor, and one's last name was Gamble. Do you know where I'm going with this? You Paul Harvey fans, the rest of the story? Yeah, those two guys met. One was a candlestick maker and one was a soap manufacturer. And those are used to be made out of what? Processed animal parts, right? Tallow, for example. Well, they met in Cincinnati and happened to meet and marry two sisters. Now Procter & Gamble got together because they married the sisters. Cool, no problem. Soap manufacturer and a candlestick maker. Well, back in the day, about around that time, there was also became an abundance of cottonseed oil. Villia, what's cottonseed oil? Where are you going with this? Well, cottonseed oil was a toxic byproduct of processing cotton. Well, entrepreneurs always seeking an opportunity combined technology called hydrolyzation, in other words, being able to take hydrogen and solidify a liquid. They took cottonseed oil, which was a toxic byproduct, that had then started to be used for lubrication of machinery, industrial age, and also for fuel inside of some of the hurricane-type lanterns because oil blubber was going away. And they hydrolyzed it. So they solidified an oil, cottonseed oil, to make what? Do you know what it made? Do you know what the hydrolyzed cottonseed oil became? Now, your grandmothers and your great grandmothers, and even your moms, if you're my age, means they're 90s, use this product. And the product was white and in a can and had a very long shelf life. Think about this again, shelf life. If you have an oil that's solidified that has a long shelf life, it's going to press out what? Stuff with a short shelf life, which would have been what? Lard, butter, the types of fats that we used, the types of fats we grew up with. Now they have this oil that's solidified, and they take it to the American Heart Association. Now, the American Heart Association received $1.7 million in donations. I don't know. I'm just telling you the numbers. And out of there came that Crisco was heart healthy. Yeah, Crisco was considered heart healthy. And the slogan that they had, that Procter & Gamble had for it, to market it, was that it's digestible. Digestible. Have you ever used Crisco? Have you ever had it on a spoon and tried to get it off of the spoon? It takes industrial strength cleaner. It is gluten slider. It's on there forever, but it's digestible. What's that mean? It could go through your system. Well, because it was digestible, and because the American Heart Association said it's heart healthy, and because it was on the shelf, it could be marketed, right? Profitize, a toxic byproduct, processed in a can, sold at retail for a great profit, to push out of the way butter and lard that didn't have as long a shelf life. And right after that, we come up with, rapeseed oil. Rapeseed oil was highly irritant to the gut throughout enough chemical and processes. And we have canola oil. We have all these other seed oils. And they are all proven to be what? Inflammatory. And vegetable oils. But people think because they're vegetable oils, right? Seed oils, well, they must be good. Right? But there's none of the vegetable in there. It's all processed. And we know that it's what? Highly inflammatory. Some components are known to cause and be a huge increase in the severity of certain diseases. Now, also what happened was, with that industrialization of these fats comes the whole idea that, well, have you ever been told fat makes you fat? Yeah. All of a sudden people start saying, well, fat makes you fat, so we got to get rid of what? Butter's not good. So instead of that, we have margarines. I can't believe that it's not right, because it's not. And what that should have taught us, began to teach us, that the people that manufacture those items know how to trick your tongue, your palate, and your mind, and your eye, and your nose, that these chemicals are what was natural. So we have the defiberization, we have the industrialization of oils, the demonization of natural, right? And then you know what else comes around about 1973? Now, again, I'm on the 70-year-old lifespan. I'm talking about, I was 30, right? Or so when high fructose corn syrup came out. Now, since high fructose corn syrup has come out, since the fibers have been taken out of our food, since the oils have come into play, What has increased in the last 40 years that wasn't in the first 30 of my lifetime? Anyone? Yes. Cardiovascular disease, skyrocketing through the roof. Type 2 diabetes, skyrocketing through the roof. Blood pressure, fatty liver, metabolic diseases, PCOS, ED, belly fat, fatty liver, obesity. Guys, I know none of you think about it this way because you were all born into this system. But do you think that your grandparents and great grandparents were really great calorie counters? Do you think they gave a rat's left earlobe about organic anything? Because everything was. Do you think that they were better at counting calories or counting carbohydrates or eating a Mediterranean diet? And some of these people just left the Mediterranean. Or the different kinds of diets, or carnivore, or vegetarian, or any of these other whack-a-mole dietary trends? No, absolutely not. Were people dying of fatty liver? The only people that had fatty liver became psoriasis were at those times alcoholics. The only type of diabetes that we had was called adult late set diabetes. There weren't kids in junior high and high school that were type 2 diabetic. There weren't children that were born insulin resistance back then. We didn't have those things. These are all absolutely byproducts of the profitization, the processing, the highly palatable foods, because they create foods so that you are addicted to them. Wake up. I'm telling you, this is the things that we don't understand because you've been propagandized. How many ads do you see in a day? How many times are you exposed to all the different things about food? How many times do you eat in a day? And I don't mean just the meal. How many snacks? The American Dietitian Association says, hey, the diabetes place will tell you, hey, you need to keep your metabolic rate going. So, have your meals and then snack in between because that'll keep your insulin high. Why? Why would you want your insulin high? Your insulin is a fat storing hormone. It needs a break. The only time you guys give it a break is when you stop eating, which is when you're asleep. And the only time that happens is then you are actually fasting because that allows the insulin to push the glucose that's in your bloodstream that you just keep drowning it with into the muscles. Well, the muscles say, we can't handle anymore. We got no more room. You're drowning us in it. Well, then where's it got to go? Well, it's going to go to the liver. The liver says, hey, we got too much. We can't take anymore. It's resisting it. It's pushing it out. We don't want it. We can't take it. So then where does it go? Well, then it creates a fatty liver. Now it goes to your fat cells. And people, how many of you are starting to gain some weight? And your doctor says, well, you need to have more discipline. You need to move more and eat less. How's that working out for you guys? Because you have two things fighting against you. One, the food industry, and one, the pharmaceutical industry is just waiting to start profitizing off of you. Think about it. The food industry makes gazillions of dollars over your lifetime because you're addicted to you can't just eat one. You're going to snack and graze all day long, which means they're selling you food all day long that you do not need. See, it used to be we were hunters and gatherers. It used to be we ate 3 meals a day, maybe. And when we did that, we weren't snacking all the time. Why are there all these snacks? Why are all these candy bars? Why are these energy drinks? You need the energy drink because you're crashing. you're crashing because you ate and your glucose goes boom, and then you need to push it back up. So you need these energy drinks because you're tired all the time, because they've addicted to you to have to continue to feed its engine, the profit engine. Do you think that the Mars family, the Kellogg's family, and those people are sitting in their boardrooms thinking, boy, what can we do to make our food more nutritious? Or what is they really thinking? How can we make it what? More addictive, more profitable, so we can sell more around the world? Exactly. And what are we seeing globally? Metabolic diseases are skyrocketing in every country in the world because they're all getting the same highly processed foods. I argue that even your cats are obese, your dogs are obese. Why? Because you're feeding them the same defiberized foods, full of starches, full of grain byproducts that are also highly addictive, highly what? Palpable. They even do that with cattle in the feedlot with steamed corn flakes. They're feeding cattle a steamed corn flake. If you see the pictures of what they're feeding them and what you're feeding your kids in those flake bottles of cereals, not a lot of looking difference, guys. And not a lot of difference in the ingredients. I'm sad to tell you that. So where am I going with all this? We've got fiber taken out. We've got fats put in. We've got sugar and high fructose corn syrup. We got the drug companies just waiting for you to be what? Sick. Now, we've got all these drugs, and I think they're great because the communicable diseases like polio and measles and all those kinds of things, they're doing great. We can prevent, we can cure. But let me ask you this. When we start looking at and considering the pharmaceuticals that you're getting, that you're on, if you are in any, and most people are, but as you get older, they say, well, it's just because you're getting older. Blood pressure. Just because you're getting older, you're getting body fat. Just because you're getting older, you're getting high blood pressure. Just because bulk poppycock. Guys, these diseases, these metabolic diseases are caused by our lifestyle and our diet. No other miracle, just that. That's how they're caused. That's the part that contributes to what's going on inside the body. So what's coming from outside is what we're taking inside. Think of that's the first formula for the ingredient. So we're taking in these products too much because we used to not eat every 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I mean, food is so readily available, you don't think about it. In fact, you don't think about it. How many times you get in the car, the first thing you do is crack open a soda or energy drink? Or you got a candy bar, or you got some nuts, you got some chips, right? And you swing by on the way to work and you drive through and you grab some kind of pastry or sandwich or bagel or whatever. I mean, I'm not berating those things. I like all of them. I'm just saying be aware that that's what your habits are. And then you get to the office. Well, you may even skip breakfast, but you get to the office or work and someone's got a birthday. So there's cakes and muffins and all the little snacky poos, the cakes and stuff. Now you eat your dinner, and what do you have for lunch? Things with what? Little fiber, lots of oils, lots of sugars, hidden sugars. Did you know that one of the famous sandwich shops in America, in Europe, their sandwich bread is taxed as sugar? Because it's mostly sugar, not bread. Did you know, thinking about meals, what's the most important meal of the day? Yeah, that's what I used to think too. But did you know that breakfast, the most important meal of the day, was started by Mr. Kellogg to promote his cereal? And now you know the rest of the story, because we all bought into that lie. Break fast is exactly what it says. The first meal you eat to break your fast from your sleep. It was just a clever ruse that got you to start buying cereals. Do you know what the biggest fast food chain restaurant in America is? No, it's not Arches. No, it's not Chickens. It's the school lunch program. I'm happy that people get, because some kids, that's their first and maybe only meal today. I'm glad for that. But what are they fed? What are they fed? They're fed what the food industry wants them to be fed. They are fed what the food industry has bought and paid for credentialing, putting into our children. Defiberized, high-starch foods, cereals, maybe oatmeal, good, great for fattening horses, and orange juice, great. What do they give people that are diabetic if they need sugar? Orange juice. Why? Because it spikes their glucose. What's the last thing you want to do to give kids? If you're a teacher, you already know you don't give the kids cupcakes at the beginning of the day. You give them at the end of the day when you send them home. So they're hyper then, right? Think about that. They're feeding the kids to start their day with foods that are going to get them to what? Have a glucose spike. And at the end of the spike comes a what? Crash. Now they're not as attentive. Now they're not as alert. They need another spike. They need another fix. Don't you? Yeah. It is a literal roller coaster of energy throughout the day. And most of you really have your best crash after lunch, don't you? You're tired, you're fatigued, so then you go get an energy drink, unquote. Or maybe get your second or third Fuma Pupa Latte of some kind or other with whipped cream and all the other sugars on it just to wake you up. Maybe it's a double. Maybe I'll get a triple just to get you to dinner. Then after dinner, you get tired and need another snack before you go to bed. And you repeat the whole cycle over and over again. But break fast can be at noon. It's when you break your fast. And some people say, well, I can't fast. You just got done doing it, sleeping, didn't you? Was you slept through the night, you were fasting. And you know what you finally did? You finally let your body recover from all the sugar loading and damaging you had just done for the last 8 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours if you had popcorn for a movie before you went to bed. So that's the kind of thing that we're up against. And what happens and what's going on has happened to me too. Now, my story, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a story. And I want to have you have a really good rest of your afternoon, but I want you to think about it. I'm going to give you a couple things that you can take away from here, and I'm going to point you to a couple things I'd like you to be aware of today. So for me, no one really ever told me. And a lot of you guys know I taught and coached for 17 years. I was blessed to coach Olympians from around the world and some of the finest athletes ever. Just great people. And oh my God, I love that. What a wonderful profession, education. But during that time, I had a lot of different symptoms. And a lot of things happened. So I'm going to talk to you about some symptoms I want you to be aware of and see if you know anybody that has or starts to suffer from these, and maybe even you. So over time, belly fat. Now, eventually, some of that belly fat, as that grows in different periods, sometimes people postmenopausal and this poppycock. Guys, belly fat is a result of too much insulin and storage of glucose. Okay? That's belly fat. When it gets really big and it's solid, now we really have visceral fat. That's a whole nother animal. That's another sign. I've had all of these, so I'm not talking out of school. But no one ever explained it to me the way I'm explaining it to you. And it took me twice to learn this thing, and I almost died the last time. So, acne. I had back acne, incredibly horrible back acne, embarrassing back acne. And as a swimming coach, having to wear a t-shirt to go into the pool is pretty embarrassing. Yeah. I went to the dermatologist in a couple of different places, and I said, hey, look at this. And they go, yeah, you got that. So they're going to give me a pill and some goop to put on my back. It never did anything. It didn't fix the root cause. Not one little bit. I had skin tags. You may know people that have skin tags. Now, those you can get cut off, but you know what? You haven't fixed nothing. You took the skin off, that little growth, but guess they come right back, don't they? Or the alopecia, where the skin is darkened and armpits and legs, that kind of looks like you're dirty. Kids get teased for that all the time. And it's not dirt. It's a sign of insulin resistance. It's a metabolic issue. And then you got to pee a lot. Or maybe you're fatigued. You eat and you get tired. That's not normal. You have brain fog. You can't remember what you went into a room. Your eyes maybe get floaters. You have cravings. You know, you're addicted to food. How many of you have gone to the refrigerator just going to have I've taken the smallest little itty bitty spoon and opened up the freezer to take some ice cream. I'm just going to have a little nibble. How many of you just had a nibble, and then things missing, and you go like, oh, I wonder if we can go get another one. You eat past being full, being satiated, being full. You eat past that. You're addicted. You graze, you nibble. You have cravings for sugar. You have cravings for salt. You have cravings for crunchy. You have cravings for this. You think about food all the time. You are addicted. They have got you. You drink most of your calories in a day. I was this guy. I was that guy. Even high blood pressure. And so all of this came to a head for me the first time. And if I tell you the first time, you know there's going to be a second. The first time was in 2019. March and April of 2019. I had all these symptoms I just told you about. And I'm driving down the interstate and I'm looking up, and the big signs, you know, the big signs are saying, hey, I can't read them so well. They're getting blurry and fuzzy. And like, what's going on? I can't really read those signs. And my vision was wonky and other stuff. And so I'm changing and moving glasses around and everything else like that. And so finally I did what every guy does. I called Dr. Google. And Dr. Google kept saying stuff I didn't like the answer to. And it kept saying blood sugar, maybe blood sugar. And I'm going like, there is no way. And yesterday and tomorrow, because there's nobody on my family on either side of the ocean. You know, Dad came over in 47. Mom's side, we go back to the original Jamestown colony. We have no diabetes anywhere, upside downwards, anywhere. So I refused to believe it until finally on April 6th, I went and I said, okay, fine. I went and I got one of those sticky things, you know, where you stab yourself and you put it on a strip into a monitor, and it tells you what your blood sugar is. And I had no idea. So I put it in there. And you know what my reading was? High. H-I. I didn't get a number. I was too high for the little machine to read. So I was 600, I find out later. And so I freak out. And I go, because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm looking at Dr. Google and trying to figure this. Okay, so I need to probably really get clinically checked because it wasn't even reading on the tool. So it was April 6th, I called the doc and I says, look, I need to have my blood drawn. I need to probably have some labs done, but let's do the 17th because I got to get past tax season. Too busy, right? But in the meantime, I did an inventory clearance of my kitchens. I had 2 kitchens. I love to cook, as you guys know. I had a gas kitchen and an electric kitchen. I had a gas stove, electric stove, 2 refrigerator freezers and stuff. I love to cook. Anyway, so on the 17th, they had the blood draw. On the 24th, I went in. My blood glucose at that time had dropped down into the 300 level from 600. But my A1C was 14.4. Yeah, that's right at clinically high. Now I said, because I said to the doc, I says, well, how do we do? He says, well, you didn't set a record, but you came close. And I said, wait a minute. He says, your A1C is 14.1. I'm like, oh, okay, what? He says, well, he starts telling me what the A1C. I says, I already know what the A1C means. What does that mean to you? And he says, well, it means to you, you're going to take 4 diabetic medications and a heart statin. I go, no, I'm not. And Dr. Stan goes, what? He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. Food got me into this mess. Food will get me out of this mess. That was my belief. Because what the heck? Food got me in. It's not genetic. Food got me in. Food's got to get me out. So what I'm going to do is I have found a protocol. I found a program. And I'm going to enter this program. And they said they can reverse type 2 diabetes. And this was a program that was new. And it's a very, very structured program. I had to take like 12 exams, study, and pass the test to be able to move to the next test, to be able to get accepted into the program, where I had a dedicated dietitian and a dedicated metabolic physician on my team. And I was monitored multiple times a day, from blood pressure to weight to ketones to my blood sugar. I had to measure. I had scales. I measured my food because I was only allowed so many grams of this and so many grams of that. I measured that food. And I told the doc, I said, all right, I'll take 1 medication. I'll take the whatever you're going to give me. 1. And as quick as I get off, I'm going to be off of it. But I will come back in 90 days and we'll look at what my blood results are. And if in this protocol, that I just had found, if it doesn't work, okay, I'll take your drugs. So I went into the protocol, and it's a great protocol. It's the longest ongoing study of type 2 diabetes in the nation, and actually the world. And it's cited in research all the time. And I was in that program, and it worked. In 90 days, I had lowered my A1C down to a pre-diabetic level. The issue, and I was in that program for almost 2 years, the problem is it's not sustainable. It was restrictive. I was going to parties and events with little containers to make sure I had the right amount of this and the right amount of that and the bit of this and that and the other. And I was paying money to live that restricted lifestyle that was not sustainable. At least for me. You guys know sometimes I'm not the most disciplined guy in the world. So what happened is let's fast forward to where we're at today. Come into 2024, guess what? My belly fat's back, my weight's back, my acne's back, my skin tags are back, my blood pressure, I'm peeing all the time. I'm peeing like every 2 hours. Fatigue, brain fog, vision, craving, snacks, grazing. I'm actually even starting to suffer from sarcopenia, which is muscle mass loss. And so I was encouraged by others, and I did. I went in October 24th, and I had some blood drawn. So I went and had the blood drawn, and I left. Now, this is at 2 p.m. when I had my blood drawn, so I had almost been fasting. I did that on purpose for almost 20 hours before the blood was drawn. So the blood was drawn, and I left. Well, that afternoon, unbeknownst to me, the clinic where my blood was sent was frantically trying to get a hold of me, call me, check on me, as well as the clinic, because they called the clinic and the clinic. So 2 entities are calling me all afternoon, unbeknownst to me. So when I get home, everything was closed. So in the morning, I get up and I called the clinic, and I says, "Hey, what's up?" And they go, "We've been trying to get a hold of you all yesterday. What's going on? Are you okay? Are you sweating? Are you dizzy? Are you nauseous? Are you have heart palpitations? How are you feeling?" I'm fine. What's up? "Well, we've been trying to get a hold of you since." "Yeah, I know. What's up?" He says, "You need to come in right away. You need to come in right away." He says, "Why didn't you call us?" I says, "I was golfing." I'm not going to call when I'm golfing. I'll take calls when I'm golfing. So I went in. It's about a 20-minute drive. Now, the clinic is a really nice clinic. I mean, it's, the one with plants and music and all that kind of upscale stuff. And I go in, and you would have thought I was in ER because they rushed me into the room. And in comes all these attendants and the practitioners and nurses and all kinds of people in the room. We're like, "Are you okay? How's your vision? Is your heart palpitation? What? Are you sweaty? Are you nauseous? Have you been dizzy or fainted? Have you fallen?" No. I says, "What's up?" "Well, we've been trying to get. I know you guys told me you're trying to get home. What do you need? What's up?" They go, "Well, your blood glucose." I go, "Yeah, what about it?" I says, "Your blood glucose was 834. And your A1C is 18.1. Guys, I should have been dead. Those are past clinically severe numbers. 834 fasting blood glucose and 18.1. I should have been in a coma. The minimalized, I should have been hospitalized. And they're all freaking out with due cause. And I should have been too, except I've already been here before. Not as high, not as serious, but mentally, in my own head, I know my body is goofy as heck. I've been here before. Food got me into this mess, and food will get me out. Because I'd resolved it before. Not as severely. So, yeah, I should have been dead. I've been saved to do what I'm doing now, which is to try to help you. To help you prevent going through what I've gone through, to help you help others not to even come close to what I've gone through. What happened was I found, by way of all places, TikTok, a protocol, a system that literally has saved my life no medications, no drugs, no restrictive diets, no fads, no count this calorie, count those carbs, eat only this, eat only that, don't eat this, don't eat that, take all these supplements, take all these vitamins, do all this exercise. No, none of that. What has found and saved my life, and what I'm sharing with you, is a protocol that is so good. The company is so confident that it will work for you with your metabolic health, is that they will provide a guaranteed 90-day money-back guarantee. Think about that. What medication are you taking, or are your loved ones taking, that when the doctor and the pharmacy prescribed them, gave you a guarantee that in 90 days it would reverse, take care of your symptoms, take care of the disease? No, doesn't happen, does it? Do you join a gym and they say, look, you can join this gym and we'll miss membership and you follow these things and then we'll give you a 90-day money back guarantee to fix your problems? No, doesn't happen, does it? Money back guarantee, 90-day money back guarantee. Actually, when I heard about that, I had day 88 marked on my calendar so I could get my money back. Not going to happen, because I'm never getting off of this protocol. But not only did it have a 90-day money back guarantee, it's 100% natural, no chemicals. It's 100% natural. It's food. Food got me into this mess. Food will get me out of this mess. And this protocol supplement, it's not a supplement. This protocol is natural foods. And it has 5 patents on it. Cool. 5 patents. Nobody else can make this. Nobody can make this. Money back guarantee, patented, listed. Now I dare you to do this. Listed in the PDR.net. What's the PDR.net? Well, the PDR at the time, when I was a kid, Dad had it on his desk along with the Merck manual. I remember that too. But the PDR was the physician's desk reference at the time. And that meant that you could look up any drug that you were going to prescribe, the family of drugs, its interactions, its negative actions, and it could have a box warning. I call it the black box warning because it means that medication could be your entry into your final black box. Serious. I double dog dare you to look up every medication you're on and look at the box warnings. And tell me that your physician or prescribing medical person listed those for you. Heck no. I know they didn't. And just look up what I'm doing in the PDR, and you'll see that it is all natural, that there are no negative interactions and no negative side effects. So 90-day money back guarantee, found in the PDR, good reference, 5 patents, and a couple dozen clinical research studies showing its ability to exceed the chemicals, the prescriptions that you're taking without side effects. And then I would challenge you, I double dog dare you, to go ask your physician or prescribing medical professional If given the drug they're prescribing you with the box warnings and one that does equal and or better than the chemical one, which would they take? And if they take the box warning, run. Run. These are listed in the PDR with no negative interactions, no side effects of any kind on any protocol. They don't interfere if you're getting treatment for a C or a this or the other. They won't interfere with that. And the poor people that are taking those shots, I mean, you know who they are. Maybe you. Sadly, I dare you, go look at the warnings. Look at the side effects. Do you know that 40% of the weight loss you are experiencing is lean muscle mass? If you lost 30 pounds, you lost 12 pounds of muscle. Fat burning, glucose burning muscle. You lost it. Tell me how you're ever going to get it back. Ever. And how? You know, right now it's a war trying to make it, just to keep selling as much as they can and make it cheaper. Now there's price war, kind of commodity on the vanity. And yes, people, we need to lose weight. I'm given 100%. We have obesity in children. You got obesity in your cats and your dogs. I know people whose cats and dogs are getting insulin shots. That's insane. And it's because of one thing. Food. Food ingredients, overeating. Why do we overeat? We're addicted. Do you know that they are making the food now so that it will bypass those shots that you're taking, those GLP-1 shots that you're taking that curb the appetite, that in your box warnings you're going to see potential pancreatitis, gastro, I just don't want to talk about it. You figure it out for yourself. I'm just trying to help you. I'm trying to warn you. I'm trying to make you aware there are options, healthy options, without the restrictions of diets and carb counting, calorie counting, and everything else like that. But I'll ask you this question. If you were the smartest person on the planet and you could create a formula, a protocol, simple protocol, just 2 teas, drinking 2 teas and a drink a day. How hard is it to do to make 3 drinks a day? If you created that formula, you'd patent it, you'd protect it. You would make sure it was tested to be safe. A couple dozen tests. Maybe involve the Cleveland Clinic. Maybe University of Sydney, home of the glycemic index. Maybe BYU, home of the research on GLP-1s and Dr. Benjamin Bikman and others. If you had the ability also to travel back in time with this protocol that reverses diabetes, high blood pressure, PCOS, ED, Alzheimer's, could reduce Alzheimer's, fatty liver, obesity, non-fatty liver, and other metabolic diseases, who would you save? who would you go back and save? For me, I had been giving it to my mom. She's 96. She's suffering from Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is considered diabetes type 3. 13% of Alzheimer's has been misdiagnosed as treatable liver issues. Misdiagnosed. They're finding out that by changing lifestyles, foods, and habits, it's clinically proven, and this as a protocol is reversing some Alzheimer's. Blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. People with type 1 diabetes are cutting down on their amounts of insulin they're taking, and they're losing weight, and they're losing body fat. And if you're a type 1, you know that taking insulin, because it's a growth hormone, guarantees you're going to get fatter, right? Around the belly and area of the witch thing? Sure. Guys, my mom, most important person ever. And then my two buddies, Ted and Phil. Yeah. Some of the other guys, Pat. But who would you save? Who would you want to help? I'm on a crusade. I'm on a mission. So this doesn't happen to you or to your family or your loved ones. Tonight we have two calls. One is at 6:30 Central Time. And on that call, there'll be an hour and a half of people telling their stories from the protocol. And after that, at 8 o'clock, there'll be a call, a Zoom call. There'll be a science-related call, followed by a business opportunity. And I'm looking for people to help me get this message out to you. So I wish you well. I thank you. If you'd like the link, just message me. I appreciate everything. I love everybody, you guys. And if you're thinking about my eye, I just had a cataract operation yesterday, so that's why my eye looks a little funky. But this eye is pretty white, and this eye is still cloudy. Like, for those of you that know, if you've ever driven in ice, salted roads in the Midwest, you know what I'm talking about? That gray. That's what things look like through this eye. This one looks like I just came out of the car wash. It's not perfect vision, but by golly, it's clear. So if you'd like to have the link to those calls today, just let me know. Send me a message, and I'll be happy to get it to you. All right? Have a great day. Love you all. Be well.